What's going on, folks? Ted from Nerd Immersion here, and if you're a player or a fan of TTRPGs, whether that be something fantasy-based like D&D or Pathfinder, or even something sci-fi or horror-based, one of the things that I think we can all kind of come around and support is the concept of maps, because those can make or break an encounter for you. Now, you may be a theater of the mind person, and that's perfectly fine, right? I use theater of the mind a lot as well. But honestly, the reason I use theater of the mind more often than not is because I don't have time to draw out a map. Or, I think maybe it won't be important. And then all of a sudden, as we start talking, it turns out that positioning and distance between things is extremely important. And that can really pull people's immersion away as you're trying to describe where things are and you're not getting it across. And sometimes it just comes into you see it perfectly in your head, but when you try to explain it to somebody, they can't visualize what you're thinking. So a map is the make or break on whether this encounter runs well or not. Well, if we're talking about maps, there's really only one name out there that you should know, and that is Chepeco Maps. Now, you might have heard of these folks, and that's fine. They're one of the most popular and best map makers out there in the industry we have today. They also might be making maps in virtual tabletops or things that you're using and you just didn't even know about it. So I wanted to take some time to kind of, well, one, thank you them for sponsoring this video, but also use this as sort of like a signal boost for all of their products, to let you know they're out there, to let you know the various ways that they're supporting the TTRPG community, whether this is in fantasy way or in a sci-fi way, which is a newer thing that they've done, and some of the virtual tabletops and things that they're tied into as well. So it says, "Hi, we're Che and Peku. We're a couple who loves making maps. We create unique and original worlds with outlandish themes, everything from a classic dungeon crawl to an offbeat thing like a kobold brewery or a giant elder brain skull. They've got over 4,000 maps. If you head over to their Patreon, they drop new map packs each week. So basically, $5 is their most popular tier here, but that's going to get you everything you get at the $1 tier, which is high quality, high res maps, gridded and gridless, day and nighttime, patron polls, Discord access, and commercial use of all $1 tier battle maps, which is pretty good if you're a creator and you're looking to do something like that. For the $5, you're going to get everything we just talked about. You're going to get all variations of this week's map in both gridded and gridless. We make around 10 plus variations on average per map pack. You also get personalized, we'll take your personalized suggestions for maps and add them to the poll, decide what to create next. Commercial use for all maps, printable PDF versions of all maps, Encounter Plus VTT ready versions of all of those maps. I mean, for $5 a month, that's nuts, right? I mean, how could you beat that? There's 20,000 members on their Patreon for a reason. And you can, again, just see some of the various maps here. We're going to look at them in just a sec. But there are also other tiers, depending on what you want to get. If you're looking to get animated maps, right? Some people like to have the animated maps. If you're using a virtual tabletop, that makes sense. But anyway, it says they also have a weekly Patreon poll, and they also have a tutorial to walk you through how Patreon works, which is good because some people are unsure about the whole subscription model and how to go about that. It says tons of variations. Switch up your campaigns with dynamic variations like seasons, time of day, weather effects, and much more. As you can see, take a look at this. You can see all of the variations of this same map, right? This here, it's a desert. Here, it's a kind of a coast. This is snow-covered. This is a beach. And this is lava, right? We talked about how they have 10 plus variations for some of these maps, which is fantastic because if you want to have some sort of impacting story event, then you can have that happen, but still utilize the same map. I really like that because I feel one of the best ways to make your world feel alive and as if it's something that exists outside of the players, because it's fine to have, your players be the only ones that cause change in the world. But I think what players find more immersive in a game is like when things happen when they're not there, right? There were quests on the job board in the town, and they took one of the quests and then went off on some other tangent and didn't come back. And one of those other events happened, so that changes the landscape of the map. Whether that was like, hey, we think there's a lava elemental going to cause the volcano to explode, and this nice sort of beach theme map that you have here was fine, but nobody went to stop the lava elemental. It erupted, and now you're looking at this sort of lava-covered area, which would be a really interesting way to change the entire landscape of the campaign. And then again, you have a map to back that up, which is pretty cool. Or you could just use the variations of the maps that you see here to impact the story. I'm talking about changing the story and finding maps that fit. You could probably take an even easier way and take a map and then say, hey, I bet you we can use this to do something different. So it says, immerse your players, add depth to your adventure with fully mapped multi-level dungeons, or level up the action with animated maps, swirling portals, writhing elder brain tentacles. You can see this right where we've got sort of the tiered vertical maps, which is nice for, again, if you're going down into a dungeon or through various portals or things like that. And again, we'll go. It says, if you're looking for campaign or session ideas, you can also go ahead and check out their blog, which I think we have in one of these. I think that's, yeah, the Encounters blog. So again, there is a blog that they have here that they update pretty frequently, right? This is updated September 13th, and look at, what do we have? How many blog posts on one day? Jeez, oh my God. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 different encounter blogs here for just the 13th of September, telling you how to run a variety of different encounters utilizing their map. Let's go ahead and click on this, how to run a Kuo-toa encounter, right? It says it's aquatic creature, often encountered in fantasy tabletop games. They're amphibious humanoids resembling a large, strange blend of fish and humanoid. We have a map here, right? It says these creatures are known for their bizarre religious practices. Use the eerie floating village fish night market Chapeco battle map to run a Kuo-toa encounter. Consider these elements: a team of repulsive fish folk who work together. They carry nets and poles. They push, pull, grapple, and restrain players. They use the water to their advantage, undermining the foundations of the village to cause it to sink into the water. Sometimes you eat the fish, sometimes the fish eat you. And then again, it says you can make the foe more than just slimy fish boat by giving them interesting rules. It provides you that. I mean, this is a really good blog to run an encounter for Kuo-toa. Like I said, there's, 17 of these for Kuo-toa, Hill Giant, Fire Elemental, Cultist, the Galeb Dur, just a straight-up villager encounter, Shadow, Animated Armor. There's a ton of amazing content here, and again, it's definitely worth logging in each week to see what new blogs there are, and then keeping an eye on these so you know what's going on and maybe saving these or copying them to have for future weeks. Again, virtual tabletop ready. Our maps are designed to work seamlessly with Alchemy, Roll20, Encounter Plus, Foundry, Owlbear, Rodeo, and more. That's basically all of them, right? We know that our good friends over at Alchemy use Chapeco maps for basically almost all of their content, especially the animated content that you see where things are moving around in the background. Fantastic. Again, and then we talked about their Patreon. So I wanted to click on this because this is showing off some of their animated battle maps. So we can go ahead. How about we click on this Elven Magitech portal? Take a look at this. So if you were to run this on, say, a virtual tabletop, you'll see that everything is moving. There's swirling aspects in the background. Portals and things are glowing, charging, and changing. This is fantastic, right? You want to really add some immersion to your players' table when they're sitting at the virtual tabletop. How about if this stuff moves? Especially if your players are new to virtual tabletops or if they're veterans. The difference between an animated, moving battle map.
Guys, I know we've already went over rain
Destiny content by accident there, but either way, my point is, having sort of animated content like that, I'll be honest with you, I've never played on a virtual tabletop with anybody when they used an animated battle map, so I don't think I would know how to handle something like that. It would just blow my mind to see something like that. So here's a Dwarven Hall. Let's go ahead and open this, right? This has lava here, you saw. And we'll play this. Look at this, right? You've got moving lava bits. You've got cranking cogs and things. This, I don't know. I don't know about you, but this would blow my mind to see something like this on a virtual tabletop. If I logged in and like the DM's just like, all right, here you are, I would not be expecting something like this. So this is very, very cool content. We also have, again, here are the variety of different themes for maps that they have from a variety of different aspects. So let's say you're just looking for forest. Take a look at all of the different forest map options you have. Some of these have a variety of iterations. Like, so here's Forest Shrine Festival. There are 29 variations of this festival to cover day cycles, night cycles, seasons of the year, a variety of different things. Spring, if you want to have, so this is just this, right? Now, what if it had train tracks? Or what if it was the train tracks at night? What if it had so here's this, then they have a Tengu Thief here, right? Here's it just in spring. Here's it when it's raining. Do you see what I'm saying? How many varieties you have and what kind of just endless content that you can get from these maps. So we talked about encounters, we talked about animated battle maps, we talked about variations, we talked about Patreon. You can join their subscriber newsletter there as well. They also make pre-made VTT models, so you can get like everything designed just for the VTT, or use them again to build campaigns. But they also recently launched in conjunction with Hyperdrive Fleet, Chapeku Sci-Fi. So now if you're looking to go, this is at hyperdrivefleet.com. You have a variety of different ship models here, as you can see, from just about every kind of ship that you could possibly imagine. So they now have access and are working on sci-fi stuff. Like, what if you want to get this sweet crab ship, right? You've got different backgrounds to put your ship on. Look at this, flying through. How about different variations of your crab ship? Again, so you can just go get this map pack over on Patreon. So here it is, right? The Chapeku Sci-Fi Patreon, where you can go ahead and get a variety of different sci-fi maps, whether that be backgrounds or ships. They've also worked along with Burrowbound to help create, again, Burrowbound is all about creating full-blown cities and areas for your campaigns. Again, beautiful maps along with guides, illustrations, immersive music, VTT assets. They work alongside them, and we already talked about how they work alongside Alchemy. So if you're looking to get any kind of TTRPG map, I'd be shocked if what you're looking for doesn't already exist in some form from Chapeku Maps. I highly recommend you check their stuff out. If you're in a point to do so and you're looking for new weekly maps and updates, I would consider joining their Patreon. I'll have a link to Chapeku Maps down in the video description, as well as a pinned comment, as well as a link to their Patreon, both for sci-fi and for fantasy. So again, they're phenomenal. I was thrilled when they reached out because they're basically, as far as I know, the premier name when it comes to maps in the TTRPG space. And if you don't know about them, you should. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.